Ever since the NFL draft, Mekhi Wingo has been considered one of the Detroit Lions' best values from the 2024 class. A player that was projected to be a top 10 player at his position, a top 100 pick, and at worst going in the middle to high fourth round, eventually fell to the sixth round of the NFL draft, fell to the 189th selection. And because of that, a lot of people have kind of moved on from Mekhi Wingo, a player that in college was talked about as one of the best pass rushing defensive tackles of his class, one of the best overall defensive talents of his class, a player that was projected to go in the top 75 to top 100, and a player that was looked at as one of the best players at his position has now all of a sudden seemingly become irrelevant. But today, we are going to talk about Mekhi Wingo. We're going to talk about his process through the draft, why he was drafted by the Detroit Lions, the role he will play on this defense as a rookie, and whether or not he will be an impactful rookie for the 2024 Detroit Lions. So starting off, let's take a look at Mekhi Wingo as a prospect. Mekhi Wingo was a sixth-round selection by the Detroit Lions in the 2024 NFL Draft. The undersized defensive tackle came in measuring at just 6'1" and 275 pounds. He is a player that, obviously being that small, had AD comps, right? He was compared to Aaron Donald as a prospect due to him being a supreme pass rusher and a little bit undersized. And after some great OTA and mini camp practices, he's being praised by both the media and the Detroit Lions coaching staff. But how much role and how much of an impact will Mekhi Wingo really have as a sixth-round selection for the Detroit Lions? Well, in his 3 years at LSU, Mekhi Wingo was really, really good. He played 104 tackles for the LSU Tigers. He had 13 and a half tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, an interception, which went back for a touchdown, as well as 4 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Mekhi Wingo graded out with an 8.78 RAS score, and despite his very poor size, graded out with great explosiveness, elite speed, and elite agility at the defensive tackle position. That led most people to believe that Mekhi Wingo is a top 10 player at his position, a top 100 player in this class, and even though he had the size concerns, he had the traits to make up for that size concern and had a lot of traits that a lot of people really felt would make him a strong player throughout this draft class. Yeah, he was a little bit short and a little bit small, but his quickness and strength more than made up for that. Yeah, there was a concern about the injury he suffered in his last year of college, but he was one of the hardest workers in this draft, and his leadership made up for that tenfold. Of course, being a player at LSU that wore the number 18, you can already tell that his leadership and his work ethic on and off the field is unlike any other player throughout this draft class. Now, Mekhi Wingo has a ton of great traits for an NFL team. He has an incredibly high motor. He always chases the ball, never gives up on a play, and is always going to be a player that touches the ball carrier every single snap. He has really good hands. His hands are very quick. He knows exactly what to do, has a variety of pass rushing moves, and is, I would say, far more developed than a lot of the defensive tackles coming out of this class. He's kind of the opposite of Broderick Martin from a year ago, where Broderick Martin is 6'5" and a mountain of this, defensive tackle and a great run stopper, but has a lot to work with from a polishing standpoint. But Mekhi Wingo is a little bit smaller. He's on the small side of defensive tackles, but he's incredibly quick and has great hand usage and is probably overdeveloped from where most defensive tackles are coming out through the draft process. Mekhi Wingo's quickness is something that was on display time and time again at LSU. His bend for being a player that is so short is surprisingly good for a player that played quite a bit on the boundary as well. And his versatility, right? It's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but he has the ability to play on the inside, play on the outside. He has the ability to play pretty much every position on the defensive line outside of nose tackle. And that versatility is massive for a lot of teams. And then, of course, as I said earlier, wearing that number 18 at LSU, that symbolic number of leadership and high football character on and off the field, being leader, being a hard worker, being a symbol for your teammates and a role model for your program. That is what the number 18 carries at LSU, and that's the number that he was granted in his final year of college athletics. Now, Mekhi Wingo will not play every snap for the Detroit Lions as a rookie, right? He is a player that will not play a lot of downs probably as a rookie. With Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader and Broderick Martin and Levi Onwuzurike all fighting for spots in front of him, there is a lot of competition for defensive line snaps. And when you throw in the fact that Josh Paschal and John Kaminsky will be taking some snaps on the inside as well, there really is a lot of competition. There are 5 to 6 players that will be fighting for Mekhi Wingo's spot, which could potentially lead Mekhi Wingo to be the first player that is drafted by Brad Holmes, but not ever play a snap or make the roster. Now, on early downs, the Lions are going to play Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader. Those are the Lions' most 2 talented defensive tackles. They can rush the passer okay. Aleem McNeil's much better at that. They both stop the run really, really well. And with those 2 on the interior, I think the Detroit Lions have a top 5 defensive tackle duo in the entirety of the NFL. Early downs will be a lot of McNeil, a lot of Reader, and maybe a little bit of other guys sprinkled in like Paschal or Kaminsky. On rushing downs, you're going to see a lot of the same. You're going to see Aleem McNeil. You're going to see DJ Reader. You might see Broderick Martin come in if his development is going as to plan, right? Big guys with a lot of weight to throw around that can collapse the pocket, that can collapse the offensive line and stop the runner right at the line of scrimmage. But where Mekhi Wingo is going to come in is those passing downs, right? It's the pass rushing downs where it's 3rd and long or it's an obvious pass rushing situation. That's where you put Mekhi Wingo at the 3 tech. That's where you put in Josh Paschal. That's where you, again, still keep in Aleem McNeil. But that is where Mekhi Wingo's bread and butter is going to be. He is going to be a 3rd down pass rusher in a set with, James Houston and Aiden Hutchinson and Mekhi Wingo and maybe Josh Paschal on the interior, just because I think he's a little bit quicker than maybe an Aleem McNeil. That's the kind of package that you're going to see Mekhi Wingo get out on. A light, fast package that's designed to fly around the football field, cause a lot of havoc, collapse the pocket, and get to the quarterback as quick as possible. That is the role that Mekhi Wingo is going to play. So while he's not going to play early downs, he's not going to play obvious rushing situations, he's going to be a 3rd down player. He's going to be a designated pass rusher, kind of in the same role that James Houston plays for the edge rushers / outside linebackers. Mekhi Wingo is going to play for the defensive tackles / edge rushers, a quick and fast defensive tackle that can get to the quarterback quick, cause some havoc in the backfield. And yeah, he's not going to take on a double team and win. He's not going to, stand up versus a Derrick Henry and stop him at the line. But what he will do, he will put pressure on the quarterback. He will be that penetrator in the middle and be a guy that will make the quarterback uncomfortable to either get off the field on 3rd down or force a turnover. That is the role that Wingo is going to play in this defense, and I think he is going to be really, really good at it. He might not be a player that plays more than 5 to 10 snaps a game, right? He might not be a player that throughout the season plays more than 150 snaps in a year, and he might end his rookie season as a box score of 2 sacks and a forced fumble, but he's going to be a guy that every time he's on the field, you have to account for him because he's so quick, he's so explosive, he is so quick to get to the quarterback that you can't not account for Mekhi Wingo when he is on the field, and that's why a lot of people thought he would go so high is because of the impact he has on the quarterback. Now, defensive line coach Tyrell Williams has said that he is very, very excited about Mekhi Wingo. He is a guy that, is very advanced for his age, very advanced for his development process. And he said that he's very excited about the development that Mekhi Wingo has already gone through and the stage that Mekhi Wingo is currently at for the Detroit Lions. As we mentioned earlier, Mekhi Wingo is kind of a little bit of a step ahead of a lot of the young pass rushers. His hand usage is very good. His footwork is really solid. He is, for all intents and purposes, one of the more polished defensive tackles in this class. And it's showing through OTAs. It's showing through minicamp. And, as we take a look back, I think he's going to play a very similar role to Josh Paschal and John Kaminsky. And in a weird way, he kind of is the inverse of those players, which allows him to be the perfect complement to those players, right? Where Josh Paschal and John Kaminsky are bigger and great at stopping the run with some quickness on the interior for pass rush, that is kind of the opposite of Mekhi Wingo. But again, in a weird way, it's kind of that perfect complement where Josh Paschal moves inside to be a quick pass rusher and really good. That's what Mekhi Wingo is good at. The versatility is there for both. The high motor is there for both. The culture fit is there for both. The hard work is there for both. And I think that they will play very similar roles on the interior, with Josh Paschal having a little bit of an expanded role being the run stopper on the exterior. But I think that they will play very similar positions. I think they will play very similar roles, and I think they will complement one another really well on the interior of this defensive line, again, on those third down situations and on those pass rushing downs. So with all of that being said, the Detroit Lions have, I think, a ball of fire in Mekhi Wingo, a player that is going to put up maybe 3 to 4 sacks a season, a player that's not going to explode on the box score, but a player that you're going to watch on Sundays and you're going to just look at him and say that player is putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. That player is going to impact the defense positively every single time he is on the field. And yeah, Mekhi Wingo isn't going to play a lot, right? Aleem McNeil is better. DJ Reader is better. If Martin is developed, he can potentially be better. Levi Onwuzurike might take that spot. Josh Paschal and John Kaminsky are going to take those reps, but on the snaps that Mekhi Wingo gets, on the snaps and the third down opportunities that Mekhi Wingo gets, I think he will make the most of his opportunity, and I think we're going to have a really strong pass rushing defensive tackle on our hands. So with all of that being said, though, that is all I have for you guys today. That is my breakdown of 6th round pick Mekhi Wingo and kind of a little bit of an update on how he's doing and what his role is shaping up to be. If you have yet to subscribe to the channel, please make sure to do so before you click off the video. You are almost 12 minutes into a video about the Lions' 6th round selection. So obviously you love the Detroit Lions, you like the Detroit Lions content, and you like this content. So if you have yet to subscribe, please do so. We are shooting for 4,000 subscribers by training camp, and we are less than 30 away. So if you can help us out, that'd be fantastic. But with all of that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so much for watching. Of course, let me know down in the comments below what you think about Mekhi Wingo. I'd be very curious to what you guys have to say. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.